Okay, here's a trail road that leads from our camp, heads to the southeast corner of the property where you'll find the wetlands, which will be right down in this direction here, down the hill. We're also going to go out to the east gate, which borders, the east side of the property borders the federal land, and there's a gate probably about 3/4 of the way back on the property that has a little trail road that goes out through the federal land and then goes back out to 11.5 miles. There's also a swamp on the property that runs north and south on the east border of the property. It's right up over that hill, and the swamp starts probably a couple hundred yards in from the north border line, and then it ends a couple hundred yards shy of the south border line. Okay, we're continuing on that little trail road, coming down here to a Y in the road where it goes left, and the trail road that goes left goes out to the east gate. What we call it, we have a gate about 3/4 of the way back on the east property line, and that borders about 120 acres of federal land. And all that federal land is on the south side of 11.5 mile road. There's another 120 acres of federal land on the north side of 11.5 mile road. So this 80 acres also borders a couple hundred yards of federal land. Anyways, the wetlands we're going to is just down here, right up over the top of this hill. Here we come out to the wetlands. A lot of ducks and geese fly in here in the evenings. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it out there, but there's a smaller duck swimming out through there right now. Anyway, it's pretty tough to see. So, looking across this wetlands, we own pretty much the entire wetlands. Actually, that large pine tree right out there is just on our property. We're looking at it, looking south right now. Our property is a quarter mile by 1/2 mile, 80 acres. Half mile runs north and south, a quarter mile runs east and west. So we're looking to the south right now. When you look over this direction, you can see the other large pine tree right out in the center of the picture. That's about the property line. Actually, the stake is right out there in the wetlands, just a little ways when they surveyed. And then over this way there is a rope with posts, fence posts, and they tied a rope from post to post. That's, I guess, basically what they used for a fence back then. But that's the that would be the east property line, headed to the north. Half mile to the north, you would come across the rest of the property. There's a little chair we come down and set sometimes in the evening. See a lot of birds flying, basically just over the top. A lot of geese fly in, ducks, sandhill cranes, stuff like that. See a lot of turtles, beaver out here, a lot of deer, small game, just pretty much about anything. Seen a couple bear on the property. Have a picture of one from a game camera that I'll post later in this video. Okay, we're going to leave the wetlands now, and we're going to take that trail that goes out by the gate on the east line. So going back up out of here, so you see this property is quite hilly. It's not your average 80 acres in this area. That's normally just flat. This property has a lot of hills and valleys and ravines, and like I say, that little swamps on here, this wetlands. It's a very unique piece of property. A lot of good areas that you could build on this property if you wanted to build a cabin or a house or multiple cabins. We've always talked about maybe turning this place into a campground and use it kind of as a retirement income, but I don't know if we really want to do that right now, but it's always in the back of our minds. So we're kind of headed pretty much to the east right now. Down here on our right, this is the south end of that swamp I was telling you about. The swamp is probably only about 100 yards wide and maybe 500 yards long, maybe a little bit longer, not really sure, but The swamp holds a lot of deer in the fall. During deer season, they like to get down in there and just hold up because they can't see across. It's thick enough that they can get right in there and nobody knows they're there unless you got right out there and pushed them out. Alright, so here's the gate. This gate's probably a good 3/4 of the way back on the property. In other words, to the south, this direction. Not too far. The wetlands is just over top of that hill, and then to the north, the property pretty much borders that swamp all the way to the other end, and then 11.5 miles north. This little road right in front of us is basically a federal road that comes and ends up coming on an 11.5 mile road. It's pretty much impassable now for cars unless you wanted to bring your car down there and get it scratched up. It's kind of really getting grown over, which is kind of nice for us because now we can come through here and, you know, we're pretty much isolated. There's really no way of getting cars back here anymore. That wetlands we was looking at continues all the way down around here, and it goes for quite a little ways. I think it crosses Brooks Road, and that's the main water supply. I think it comes from Tank Lake on the other side of Brooks Road. Okay, we're headed back pretty much to the west. We just turned around there at the gate. Now we're headed back, and we'll be going through the camp. Where our camp is located right now is probably one of the highest points. It's probably one of the highest points in this entire area, actually. It's we just decided to put our camper there. I don't know if we build a house there, but it's a pretty nice place. As you'll see when we come up to it, we have our camper parked there right now. We got a fire pit, little outhouse. Basically, the previous owners had about, I think it was 12 or 13 different deer blinds, basically 4 foot by 4 foot, made out of plywood. And there was one right here by our camp, so what we did with that, we ended up turning it into an outhouse. And we ended up putting a water barrel and just a regular flush toilet there, just so we didn't have to, you know, deal with the normal dirtiness of just a pit outhouse. Here we're coming up to camp right now. You might be able to see the smoke from the fire. And again, like I said, we're headed just about west, maybe a little bit northwest.